Okay, so in this particular class, we are doing the general rule. The previous class was on first principle. Don't forget first principle. And since it was the first principle, that's why we did it first. So this is called the general rule. So for general rule, we have that if A equals to nx, where, sorry, let's use y. If y equals to nx, if y equals to ax, yeah. I'm changing that to what you're having there on the board. The reason is because that's how it appears on the textbook. I don't want to use a different notation so it not confuse us. So if y equals to ax, where a equals to the coefficient of x, and x is equal to the independent variable. Independent. I don't mean Nigerian independent. Independent variable. This, by God's grace, this should work. Okay. So if y equals to ax raised to power n, just like we had 2x raised to power 2, where a is the coefficient of x, that's that 2, the first big 2. X is the independent variable, that's the variable that can stand on its own, that you can just assume anything about. For example, now we know that you can assume that x is 2 and then use it to solve for y. So it is independent, it does not depend on anybody, it's on its own. N equals to the power of x. It implies that y equals to, this implies that y equals to, change in y over change in x equals to n times ax raised to power n minus 1. Okay, this is a formula. So working with this formula, if they give you anything at all, let's say for instance, they give you any formula, so any equation, and in that equation they say y equals to 2x squared. You will say y equals to 2x squared, and they ask you to solve for it. All you need to do is say dy over dx equals to, don't forget this, your n here is 2, and don't forget this is the general formula. Your 2 here is a, your x here is x, your 2 here is what? N. Okay? You understand to that point? So now, for you to find the y over dx, remember you have to take your n down. So your n what here is 2 bar. So this 2 times. That point there is called times. 2 times. Your a is what? 2. 2x raised to power what? 2 minus what? 1. So this equals to what? 2 times 2 is what? 4x. 2 minus 1 is what? So that's 4x. X raised to power 1 is x. That's 4x. That's just a simple thing there. So if they give you something like y equals to 6x raised to power 3, all you need to do is the same thing. Okay, you just say dy over dx equals to what? 3 times 6x raised to power 3 minus 1, which equals to what? 3 times 6 is what? 18. X raised to power 3 minus that is 2. So that's your answer. Very fast and easy. Easier than that first one we did. Remember, this 2 belongs to x. That's x raised to power 2. X raised to power 2 is a thing on its own. 18 is a number. This one is, so 18 is an integer standing behind a variable. The reason that 2 is there is showing that x is multiplied in 2 places. X times x, x squared. So you cannot say 18 times that 2. It's not the same thing. And that 2 is a power, not an integer. So you can't multiply that 2. Okay? Are you trying to say that? No, I am saying something. So what did I say? Am I saying that? What if we have something like 18x, when you have like this one now we have 2 minus 1. You have something like 1. Then the other side, we have something like 2 minus 1 also, giving us 1. Yeah. Remember, we did not do 4 times 1 here. We did not do. We said x raised to power 1. X raised to power 1 is x. X analogy. X raised to power 1 equals to x. The reason it is equals to x is because this x raised to power 1 says that there is only one x here. X raised to power 2 means that x is multiplied in 2 places. X raised to power 3 means x is multiplied in 3 places. X times x times x, x cubed. So when you see x raised to power 1, it's the same thing as x. So there is no need to add that 1 there again. So you just leave it as x. That's why we kept it as x. Now that we have x raised to power 2, x raised to power 2. Because x raised to power 2 is x raised to power 2. Understand up to that point? Okay, the first time you thought that we did 4 times 1. God forbid. I thank God we now did this. Okay, now there are some places where the people that are setting your questions are wicked. Not because they are wicked. They just feel that you should have known these things. But you know we're in Nigeria. So in number 3, they now say y equals to 6x raised to power 4 plus 3x raised to power 5 plus 13x raised to power 2. Sorry, this is raised to power 3. Yeah. Whereas this is 5. Then plus 20x. And you say, you should solve. And you have looked at heaven and you looked at earth. And you know that this your formula does not look anything like this. The formula only said y equals to ax raised to power n. And they are giving you ax raised to power n, 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 and it's plenty. What do you do in this place? This is called addition or subtraction of differentiation. Okay? So for addition and subtraction of differentiation, all you need to do is that you pick the first term, apply that formula. Pick the second term, apply that formula. Third term, the formula. Fourth term, the formula. That's all. Let's do it. In real life, what you are going to do is dy over dx equals to, this is the first term, when you apply this formula to the first term, what will you have? 4 dot what? Raised to power what? Minus 1. That's first term. You put your plus if it was plus. If it was minus, okay, let's change this to minus. So this is plus, right? Plus this one, 3 times 5, 3 minus 1. Minus, right? What? Times. Mm-hmm. Don't forget, we said something like x raised to power 1 equals to x. So it means that x equals to what? X raised to power 1. So since that you have seen x here, it means there is hidden raised to power 1 here. This one. You said x. You should have said the one first. Or the one you said that you not hear. If we should play this video on the group, they will check, they will see that you did not, you did not hear. So this is what? 1 times what? X raised to power what? 1 minus 1. Don't forget, x is the same thing as what? X raised to power 1. So you now simplify all of them. So your dy over dx equals to what? 4 times 6 is what? 24. 24 x raised to power what? 3. Nice. Plus 3 times 5 is what? 15. 15 x raised to power what? Minus 2 times 13 is what? 26. 26 x raised to power what? 1. So you no need to write. Plus 20x raised to power what? 0. So let me see write that one. So at the end, we know that dy over dx equals to 24x cubed plus 15x squared minus 26x. No need to put that one because x raised to power 1 is what? X. But x raised to power 0 is 1. It's not me that said it. Someone came out from somewhere and said that anything raised to power 0 is 1. Apart from 0. Okay, ask your question.
So why not put 20x?
20x. Because anything raised to power 0 is what? 1. So you say, since the x raised to power 0 is 1, so we have 1 times 20. That will give us 20. So this is plus 20. There's no x. Anything raised to power 0 is what? 1. So since the whole of this is 1, see, this 20x raised to power 0 equals to what? 20 times x raised to power 0. So this equals to what? 20 times x raised to power 0 is what? So this equals to what? 20 x raised to power 0 equals to what? 20. So this is your final answer. I'm going to drop the assignment on the group, so don't worry. Whether someone has come for this class or not, the person will still do the assignment. I am saying that whether you are in this class or not, you still do assignment. So that is all for addition and subtraction of addition, of differentiation, of differential equation. So the next thing we move to is the product rule and the quotient rule. Let's write product rule. Let me check if it's writing. It's not as sharp as I would have loved. So product rule states that if y equals to uv, y equals to uv, it means that if y equals to uv, where u and v are both functions of x, if y equals to a particular equation where the first part of the equation depends on x and the second part of the equation depends on x, this means that the y over the x equals to u times the v over the x plus v the u over the x. So if this is true in any case, we know that this is our formula. So let's take our first human being. Y equals to 2x times x plus 5 . So from here, our u is the first part of the equation and our v is what? The second part of the equation. So the first part of the equation is this one. Yeah. So we say that u equals to what? 2x. And our v equals to what? X plus 5. So du, our du over dx equals to 2. Why is it equals to 2? Remember, we are using our general formula. General formula states that if that is that, we have u equals to what? Please, for the people in the video, the analogy is not very important. You can just refer back to the old previous video, and then you get everything. But this analogy, you can see well on the board. You don't need to see well for the people in the video. This is 2x. So you know x is the same thing as raised to power 1, ba? So all we need to do is 1 times what? 2x raised to power what? Minus 1. So 1 times 2 is what? 2. X raised to power what? 0. X raised to power 0 is what? 1. So 1 times 2 is 2. So that's why we are having 2. Don't forget, this can be dz, dq, dp. As far as all you need to remember is that there is a dependent variable that is always on the left hand side, and there is an independent variable that is always on the right side. And it is a dependent variable that will be equal to something the independent variable. So if that is true, we have that our dv over dx, no, it won't. The reason it won't is this. No, you are doing something. This is v equals to x. This x is what? Raised to power 1 plus 5 x raised to power 0. Why did I say 5x raised to power 0? Remember, when it was 2x raised to power 0, you say it is 2. So now that it is just 5 alone, it means it is 5x raised to power 0. Because 5x raised to power 0 is the same thing as 5. Any number that is standing on its own has an x raised to power 0 attached to it. So now that we have this, we say 1 times x, right? 1 times, there is an invisible 1 here. So that's 1 times x raised to power what? 1 minus 1. Plus, this one is 0, ba? So 0 times 5x. See it here now. 5x. This x raised to power 0. This 1 times x. This is x raised to power 1. X standing on its own is the same thing as x raised to power 1. You remember? No, you remember, but x raised to power 1 means there's just one x there. So we just keep it there, x. So for this x, this 0 comes down, right? Times 5 times x raised to power 0 minus 1. So 1 times x is what? Sorry, 1 minus 1 is what? So we have 1 times x raised to power what? Plus 0 times 5x. 0 minus 1 is minus 1. So x raised to power 0 is what? 1. 1 times 1 is what? 1. Anything times 0 is what? 0. So this equals to what? 1. So that's how we know that the v over the x is what? 1. Baba, 1. Remember your solvings. So if it is equals to 1, the next thing we now do is that we tell ourselves the truth. That we have our u, we have our v, we have our du over dx, we have our dv over dx. Wetin remain na to carry and put inside. So you say that dy over dx equals to what? Our u is what? 2x. U is 2x. Our dv over dx is what? Times 1. We put our plus bar. Our v is what? X plus 5. Our du over dx is what? 2. So 2x, this is our dy over dx, right? 2x, this is our formula. We are just writing down this formula, but we are substituting the values. Our u is what? 2x. That's the 2x here. Our dv over dx is what? 1. That's the 1 here. Don't forget, I said this dot here stands for what? Multiplication, that's times. So we put our plus, which is our plus here. V is what? X plus 5. I'm putting it in the bracket because I need them to be together. Put our multiplication. Du over dx is what? That's it. So moving from there, 2x times 1 is what? 2x plus. Don't forget, because of this multiplication and because of this bracket, big man, because of this multiplication and because of this bracket, means everything inside this bracket must be multiplied by what? 2. So 2 times x is what? X times 5 is what? So 2 times 5 is what? So dy over dx equals to what? 2x plus 2x is what? X plus 10. That is all for product rule. That's the answer. The answer is, the thing with product rule is identify your u, identify your v. Now find the differentiation of your d, of your v with respect to x. Find the differentiation of your u with respect to x. That's what we did here. We identified our u to be what? 2x. Our v to be what? Then we now did our our du over dx to be 2. Dv over dx to be 1. We now carry those answers and put them inside here. Multiply them and simplify. That's the answer. We put the answers here, multiply them here, simplify. And that was all. Okay, so we move over to quotient rule. Quotient rule says that if y equals to u over v, but the next step we will know is that dy over dx equals to v times, oh Jesus, this thing is not writing well. The y over dx equals to v times d u over dx minus u times dv over dx divided by v square. This is a formula for quotient rule. So the same thing applies. Let's take, for instance, we have y equals to 2x raised to power 3 divided by x plus 5. Yeah, this one is easier to know which one is u and which one is v, because this is our u and this is our v. So we stretch it out again. Like in our solution, u equals to what? 2x cubed. V equals to what? X plus 5. We know that du over dx. This thing has gone bad. Let me allow it to settle small again. You know that du over dx equals to what? From our general formula. Du over dx equals to what? This is our u. This is u equals to 2x cubed, right? So du over dx equals to what? You take 3 down, put your multiplication. You put your 2x 3 minus 1. That equals to what? 6x squared. Whereas for this side, v equals to, dv over dx equals to 1. And we know why it is equals to 1. Because if v equals to x plus 5, if v equals to x plus 5, then dv over dx equals to 1 times x raised to power 1 minus 1 plus 0 times 5x raised to power 0 minus 1. Already we know that this is x raised to power 0 and this is x raised to power 1, right? So this equals to 1 times x raised to power 0 plus 0 times 5 raised to 5x raised to power minus 1. So this is 1. So 1 times 1 is 1. Anything times 0 is what? 0. This equals to what? 1. Pay attention to the solving mode and the copying. That's why I'm saying the copying will be on the DC. The common mistake we all make is that we feel we should copy the notes. You will not look at that note again, I promise you. But you see this solving, if you pay attention to the solving, you will not need the note again. So you give the attention more to the solving. Given that you don't have the note, what will now happen to you is that when you reach the house, because you want to copy the note, you want to have the note, you are now going to go there and go to the video and copy out that note. So while you are copying out that note, you are remembering what we were doing in class and you are doing it 2 times. So when you do it 2 times and you see how good you are going to want to do it again. That's how you get better off. But if you are trying to combine copying of notes and writing and listening at the same time, you'll be distracted because you cannot carry 2 things and climb a ladder. And this is a very steep ladder. You can just poof, you're on the ground. You fear no fall. So we get that dv over dx equals to 1. So we have gotten all of our human beings. All we need to do is put it inside this formula. So for our v equals to what? X plus 5, right? So dy over dx equals to what? X plus 5 times what? Du over dv, which is what? Which is 6x squared minus what? U is what? 2x cubed times what? 1 divided by what? V squared is what? X plus 5 raised to power what? 2. Don't forget, it's V squared. So expanding, we say this times this. 6x squared times x is what? 6x cubed plus 6x squared times 5. 6 times 5 is what? 30x squared minus this times this is 2x cubed divided by x plus 5 times x plus 5. Question? Okay. At this place. We know that this is 6x bar and there's a multiplication sign here in the middle. So this must multiply everything that is inside here. So 6x squared times x is what gives us 6x cubed. Why? Because because 6x squared. No, let me bring it down here. 6 more 6x squared times x equals to 6 times x times x times x. 6x squared the same thing as x times x. But times this other x again. See here. But we know that x times x is what? X cubed. That's x raised to power 3. X raised to power 3 times 6. So 6 times x raised to power 3 is what? 6x raised to power 3. Now we know that 6x squared times 5. 5 and 6 are numbers. So 5 times 6 is what? X squared remains the way it was. Minus this times this is the same thing. Anything that is 1 is that thing. So this one raised to power 2 means this one times this one. That's in times itself. Okay. So for this part now, we know that 6x cubed and 2x cubed have the same terms. So we collect like terms. We say six x cubed minus 2x cubed plus 30x squared. Don't forget, before I did this, I said we are collecting what? Like terms. So if they resemble themselves, they should stay in the same place. All divided by this one here, the bomb. So we know that x times x is x squared. Or let's just do it. Yeah. So you say x into x plus 5 plus 5x into x plus 5. Don't forget, for multiplying these ones, the first one will multiply everything. You repeat the sign, and then the second one multiply everything. So the first one multiply everything. The sign. The second one multiply everything. So 6x cubed minus 2x cubed is what? 4x cubed. Because 6 akara minus 2 akara remains what? 4 akara. So x cubed is what? Akara. So we have 4 akara plus 30 bread divided by x times x is what? X squared, or x raised to power 2. X times 5 is what? 5x. 5 times x is what? 5x. 5 times 5 is what? 25. So this becomes 4x cubed plus 30x squared divided by x squared plus 10x plus 25. That's your final answer. It's funny that sometimes you finish solving and your answer is longer than your question. This is your answer. Sorry, I forgot to be adding dy over dx. Dy over dx is the thing that is equal to this. Dy over dx equals to this. And dy over dx equals to this. From here. This, there is nothing you can do to this guy again. So you still maintain it here. But for this guy, x squared is still x squared. 5x plus 5x, 5 akara plus 5 akara equals to what? 10 akara. 10 akara. 25 still brings down. Now, if you need it from here, we had that x times x was what? X squared. X times 5 is what? 5x. You must always write the number before the letter. So 5 times x is what? 5x. 5 times 5 is what? So it's just to expand this. And that's how we got this. So you simplify the bomb. That's 5x plus 5x. 4x cubed. We say 6 akara minus 2 akara equals to how many akara? 4 akara. There was already 30 bread here, so we still maintain our 30 bread. That's how we got everything. So that's all for quotient rule.